We're with Michelle, who led the Sunday service last Sunday, and she gave us a wonderful image. And today's video is to sort of ask her to expound on that, because it was too juicy. It was too much of a little gemstone to let go. And what she said was, we need to become connoisseurs of consciousness. And so I wanted to just ask for more, and I thought it'd be fun to be out here in the Babaji garden, and I'm going to drift off camera now so we can both take our masks off,
Okay.
and then the camera and everybody in the world can see you more closely. And if your mic falls off, you can just put it back on. It's fine.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Dharmadas, for the invitation to talk a little bit more on this topic, because I think it's really important. In terms of where it came from, I'm not entirely sure. I might have heard David Eby use this term once, possibly. And the idea really is that there are so many different currents of consciousness in the world. And we have the opportunity, the choice, to really decide which of those currents we want to tune into. And in the topic of last week's Sunday service, we talked about the fact that there are currents of consciousness that draw us away from God, and then there are currents of consciousness that help draw us toward God. And we can consciously choose which ones of those we want to tune in. And of course, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now which can sort of draw us away or pull us down. And we need to be mindful of those influences. And it's not that we can entirely tune them out, but we can augment the positive influences that uplift us, that inspire us, that are God reminding. And that's really sort of the point I was trying to make with this idea of being a connoisseur of consciousness, sort of like being a wine connoisseur or a chocolate connoisseur, where you really sort of, as you're taking that in, really tuning into its qualities and to how it makes you feel, the taste, the sensations. And so as we consume various things in our lives, whether that's media or books or music, tuning into, how does this make me feel? Does it uplift me? Does it remind me of Divine Mother? Or does it just distract me or pull me down? Or,
And I'm assuming that you've experienced a whole spectrum of consciousness in your life.
Absolutely, we all have. It's part of being on the earth plane.
So how would you, if you were to advise people, what would, one or two quick thoughts of how to become more of a connoisseur of consciousness? Or
it really starts with awareness. And of course, meditation is one of the best practices for beginning to cultivate awareness. But even just sort of taking a moment periodically throughout the day to just sort of check in. What am I doing? What's going on around me? How am I feeling? Is this serving me? Is this not serving me?
Wow.
How might I do this differently?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow. That's great. Thoughts for people who dealing with the pandemic and the issues around isolation and how that affects their connoisseurhood, if there's such a word. There probably isn't, but I just made it up if there isn't.
Yeah, so when we're isolated, that can either support being a connoisseur, or it can make it a little bit more challenging, particularly if we tend to rely on others to uplift us. It can be more challenging. So, how are you spending your day in isolation? Are you listening to uplifting music in the background? did you take some time to read some words of Master or words of Swami? There's lots of inspiration on the Ananda Sacramento website, on the ananda.org website, talks and stuff to watch. So all of those things can help boost that sort of tuning into higher consciousness, if you will.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us. I
Joy to
promised
be with you
Michelle
this
we
morning.
wouldn't take a long time this morning. She's got a very busy schedule these days. But anyway, I appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless.
Namaste.